Hi, I'm Sylvan Finger, and thank you for joining me for another Living Well Basic Life Skills class. And today's topic will be about automotive maintenance and repair. And so, why I chose this topic is because there are several people who did also recommend that this was one of the classes. It wasn't my first favorite one, being that Uh, it seems like in the small country towns, people seem to know how to work on their cars pretty well. But, however, talking with those who, who are struggling for one reason or another, sometimes it is because of automotive issues, and so uh, the, there's all kinds of things to talk about for automotive things for cars. I can imagine trying to pick the right one and or to find one. I guess uh, a lot of times more so the issue isn't so much of finding a car, isn't that's not what most people are spending their time on, as much as just maintaining the car and keeping it going. I find it fascinating that how much technology and what a car can do and how cheap it is. How it's so basic that it's become a basic need, even though it's quite a contraption to drive, as much time is usually spent on training people. But usually even the train a person on how to drive a car, a lot of it's more so on the rules of the road and not so much on taking care of the vehicle you have. And so I'll be more focused on the engine more than anything. As I'm talking this out, I'm thinking of a whole lot more questions than I originally had put in place for this, but we'll see how this goes. The, as I said, the main thing is about maintenance. Obviously, if your car runs out of gas, you need to put more in it. Usually, with anything in the cars, you don't want to try to top off anything, or else any fluids, or else the vehicle is not going to run as smoothly as it usually needs some air to run through. But at the same time, if you run it dry to every last drop, then you're making the engine work harder and perhaps even burning things um, at an imbalanced ratio. And so you don't want to do that either. Um, so what I figured how I'd start this class is by opening with the question: have you ever left the mechanic feeling unsure if you are receiving a good deal? And so hopefully by the end of this course, you can get a better sense of what what a good deal would be. As for maintenance goes, myself, I would not call myself a mechanic, but I have been able to do some basic things to get by and do some of my own repairs, especially if it doesn't require usually any more than 10 steps. It is actually fascinating, such as changing a light bulb on a car. You can usually do that in less than 10 steps. And so, the real nice cars are the ones that are able to have you do it in like 2. So, well, depending on who you call nice. I've had nice cars that required quite a few steps, but I shouldn't use the word nice. I should use the word uh, efficient, efficient and affordable. The one I've been really enjoying is my '99 Toyota Camry, and I was only planning to have it for 4 years, but life happens and things change. I found that spending money on a car payment was probably not my best place to be putting my money. So the car still runs, and I'm able to invest my money elsewhere, which most investors probably would say, well, then that's a blessing to have, to not have a car payment in your budget. So And that's where we get into automotive maintenance. To keep from having to buy a new car, you gotta make sure you're maintaining your car pretty well. So let's ask our AI buddy, Gemini, what routine checks and maintenance tasks help keep a vehicle running smoothly?
The smooth operation of a vehicle relies on a consistent schedule of routine maintenance checks and tasks. Neglecting these can lead to decreased performance, poor fuel economy, and expensive repairs. Here are the essential routine checks and maintenance tasks, grouped by frequency, that help keep a vehicle running smoothly. Monthly checks, or at every fuel fill-up. These are quick checks you can perform regularly. Engine oil level and condition. Check the dipstick to ensure the level is between the minimum and maximum markers. Look at the oil's color. It should not be dark black or gritty. Low or dirty oil is the primary cause of engine wear. Tire pressure. Check all 4 tires. And the spare. Using a reliable gauge. Proper inflation is crucial for safety, tire life, and fuel efficiency. The correct pressure, PSI, is found on a placard inside the driver's side door jamb, not the tire sidewall. Tire tread depth and condition. Visually inspect the tires for uneven wear, bulges, cuts, or embedded objects. Worn-out tread compromises traction, especially in wet conditions. All exterior lights. Test your headlights, high and low beam, tail lights, brake lights, and turn signals to ensure they are all working for visibility and safety. Windshield wiper fluid. Ensure the reservoir is full to keep your windshield clean for clear vision. Every 3 to 6 months / 3,000 to 7,500 miles. These are the more in-depth tasks, which often correspond with an oil change interval. Check your owner's manual for your vehicle's specific mileage / time for oil changes. Oil and oil filter change. This is arguably the most critical task. Clean oil lubricates, cools, and cleans the engine. The filter removes contaminants. Check other fluid levels and condition. Coolant / antifreeze. Check the level in the reservoir when the engine is cool. Low coolant can cause the engine to overheat. Brake fluid. Ensure the level is correct. A significant drop can indicate an issue with your brake system. Power steering fluid. Check the level to ensure smooth and easy steering. Transmission fluid. Check the level and look for a clear pink / red color if your vehicle has a dipstick for it. Check belts and hoses. Inspect all engine belts like the serpentine belt and hoses like radiator hoses for cracks, fraying, swelling, or leaks. A broken belt or hose can cause a breakdown or severe engine damage. Battery and cables. Check the battery terminals for corrosion, a fuzzy white or bluish substance, and ensure the connections are clean and tight. Wiper blades. Replace them if they are streaking, skipping, or leaving moisture on the windshield. Annually / every 15,000 miles. Engine air filter. A clogged filter restricts airflow to the engine, reducing power and fuel efficiency. Cabin air filter. This keeps the air inside your car clean and fresh. Replacing it improves the function of your heating and air conditioning. Tire rotation. Rotating the tires helps ensure they wear evenly, extending their lifespan and improving handling. Brake system inspection. Have the brake pads, rotors, and lines professionally inspected for wear and function. Long-term / scheduled maintenance. Consult your owner's manual. Spark plugs and ignition system. New spark plugs improve combustion, leading to better fuel economy and smoother engine performance. Flushing fluids. Replacing old, degraded fluids. Brake fluid flush. Periodically required to remove moisture that degrades the fluid and can cause corrosion. Coolant flush. Periodically required to maintain the cooling system's effectiveness. Transmission fluid and filter change. Required at longer intervals to keep the transmission shifting smoothly. Timing belt chain. If your engine uses a timing belt, not a chain, it must be replaced at a specific mileage, often between 60,000 and 100,000 miles, to prevent catastrophic engine failure. The single most important step for maintaining a smooth running vehicle is to always follow the maintenance schedule provided in your vehicle's owner's manual.
I got to go start over and go back. And so what I said here is I like how it ended on you need to check your vehicle's owner manual. And so why I like that is because at the back of every manual, it has a table or a chart of all these things that are listed here, of the maintenance and things you need to be looking for. It might be kind of overwhelming at first, but if you can look at what mileage your car is at, well then you should be able to know at what point what needs to be checked. Obviously, if your car needs an oil change every 5,000 miles, you're probably not going to get it changed right exactly at every single 5,000 mile increment on your odometer. You know, when you get to 105,000 miles, it's not going to be all of a sudden, that's right, I need an oil change here. You could be at a 106 because the last time you did it was 101 for 1,000 miles for an oil change. So usually the biggest thing you'll have for the maintenance of a car is an oil change. If you need to start anywhere in terms of taking care of your car, it's going to be getting your oil change done. And when you take your car to a mechanic to get the oil change done, then they too are also looking for all these things. They're making sure your tire looks pretty good, nothing in your engine looks off, that your battery is connected very well, that the rest of the fluids in the car don't look black. I've learned if you're not really sure when the last time anything was done, as long as the dipstick to whatever fluid you're looking at is not black, you should be okay. For things like oil, as that gets done every 3,000 or 5,000 miles, some mechanics swear by 3. I've seen other people swear by 5. As there are different types of oil out there, like synthetic oil, one that's manufactured. It's designed to last longer, so you don't need to get it changed as often. Then, assuming you have a gas-powered car as opposed to electric, once you start getting electric, then it's a whole another ball game. But most people are still relying on gas-powered cars. So I don't remember what the last thing I was saying besides gas-powered cars. But if you're to take your car to a mechanic, they should check all these things. So what happens if you neglect any of these things? Well, then as it told you, your car will not run as smooth and possibly burn up your engine. So there's that. Let's see. Another note I have here is not only can you look at the owner's manual for taking care of your car, but there's also a car repair manual that's usually put out for every car that's made. That's been recommended to me, but I've never actually been able to take the time and patience to find one for a variety of reasons. I'm usually able to get by with the internet and just looking at what's in front of me. So, but the idea of having those things is, you know, just what your car needs. You don't have to kind of guess and say, well, this is what I did with my last car, and this is what obviously I should probably do with this car. No, the owner manual has done all the testing for you. You just gotta keep up on when the last maintenance of any of these things have been done. So let's see, what's next on the list here? Go back over. What should I have in my car in case of an emergency?
That's a fantastic and responsible question. Having a well-stocked emergency kit can turn a stressful breakdown or accident into a manageable inconvenience and even save a life. Here is a comprehensive list of what you should keep in your car, broken down into key categories. Roadside and repair essentials. These items help you fix minor problems or safely wait for help. Item, purpose. Jumper cables or portable jump starter. To restart a dead battery. A jump starter is safer and doesn't require another vehicle. Spare tire, jack, and lug wrench. Ensure the spare is properly inflated and you know where the jack and wrench are and how to use them. Tire inflator/sealant. A can of foam sealant, like Fix-A-Flat, for minor punctures, or a 12-volt air compressor. Basic toolkit and multi-tool, a few screwdrivers, pliers, an adjustable wrench, and duct tape. A multi-tool/utility knife is invaluable. Work gloves, to protect your hands from grease, dirt, and injury when changing a tire or working under the hood. Fuses. A small assortment of fuses that match your vehicle's common sizes. 2. Safety and visibility. These are critical for protecting yourself and making your vehicle visible to others. Item, purpose, flashlight. A bright LED flashlight or headlamp with extra batteries. Check batteries regularly. Reflective warning triangles or flares. To place 50 to 100 feet behind your vehicle to warn oncoming traffic, especially at night. LED flares are often preferred over pyrotechnic ones. Reflective vest. A bright reflective safety vest to wear if you need to walk outside the vehicle near traffic. First aid kit, stocked with bandages, antiseptic wipes, gauze, medical tape, pain relievers, and any personal medications. Emergency window breaker/seatbelt cutter. A small tool to quickly cut a seatbelt or break a window in a worst-case scenario. 3. Survival and comfort. These items are essential if you are stranded for an extended time, especially in severe weather. Item, purpose. Water. Bottled water. Replace every 6 months, as the plastic can degrade in heat. Non-perishable snacks. High-energy foods like granola bars, protein bars, or dried fruit. Blankets/thermal. Mylar blanket. Mylar blankets are compact but effective at trapping body heat. A regular blanket or sleeping bag is great for added comfort. Extra warm clothing. A pair of gloves, a hat, and a warm jacket, even if you don't typically wear them. Rain gear/poncho. To stay dry while dealing with a breakdown. IV, communication and navigation. Item, purpose, cell phone charger and power bank. A cord that plugs into your car's power outlet, plus a fully charged battery pack to use when the car is off. Pen and paper. For leaving a note or writing down key information, like insurance or contact details. Road maps. A physical map of the area, in case your phone battery dies or there is no GPS signal. Contact information. Keep a card with your roadside assistance number, insurance information, and emergency contacts. Versus seasonal/climate-specific items. Customize your kit based on where and when you drive. Season/condition. Essential item. Winter/snowy areas. Snow shovel, collapsible. Ice scraper and brush. A bag of sand or kitty litter for tire traction. Hot/desert areas. Extra water, sunscreen. A wide-brimmed hat. Off-road/remote areas. Tow strap or chain. A heavier shovel, and more extensive repair tools. Pro tip. Store your kit in a duffel bag or plastic bin in your trunk. For items you may need immediately, like a jacket, flashlight, and window breaker, keep them within easy reach in the cabin or the back seat.
All right. Well, that's quite an extensive list. And I guess, as they're seen here, unless you live in an area of snow or high heat, you're probably going to be, this might be a little bit too much for you. And a part of me was thinking, as I have a jacket today, because it's more wet weather and cooler weather, I'm already prepared to go outside of my car in case I need to do some work on it. But of all the things that were given me to help me get through things, get through car issues, usually food hasn't been the issue. If anything, if you're to pick one thing of all these things to have in your car that you probably won't have already, is a pair of jumper cables. Just for one reason or another, batteries die and you can't get your car going. And it's these things are, if that's all it takes to get your car going again, it's just a jump from another person's car, well then there's no cost except having your jumper cables here. You could have a roadside assistance company you signed up for, an insurance type thing. My wife loves AAA, where you get 2 free tows a year. I think and the cost for the subscription, I believe, is about $100 a year. And so for this, it's already paid for. If you have any car trouble, you can call them up and they'll come right over. So there's that. This thing comes with this toolkit. If you want to get something a step up, this has been my favorite toolkit of everything you have here. And so the next thing I took out was a flashlight. I've never used a flashlight, as I got a flashlight app, although this probably would be safer as I'm not dropping my phone on asphalt, if that be the case. But then that means you have to make sure this is always maintained and going. The screwdriver's been always fantastic. If you need if it is just a matter of a loose connection on a battery, well, then you got a screwdriver to get you going. But there's between the screwdriver and the socket wrench, and the socket wrench, all the sockets sizes are down here below. It seems like 10 millimeters pretty standard for everything, but there's a few others here in case that's not the socket you're dealing with. And for screwdriver bits, you can choose the size and the type that you need. Again, this has been fantastic, where I probably if I just need to do some work on my car, whether I'm on the road or at home, this is already in the trunk of my car. So it prevents me from having to get a tow for a basic repair that, as long as I have a screwdriver and a socket wrench, I can get the job done. Yes, it looks like this thing has some type of thermal tape on it too. I've never used that, for better or for worse. Apparently I've used an open wrench here, but I don't know where that went. But that's not the one I've usually used. But overall, I looked online to see if there's more of these out there, and they do make them. There's not a whole lot of them that have this complete of a set. So, but if I remember right, the price was like $50 for that. So again, I've definitely got my $50 worth out of this, and it's just been fantastic. All the other things here that they talked about, again, if you live in snow, having a snow scraper and ice remover is helpful. Usually modern tires are designed that if a nail does go in it, it'll stay in the nail will stay in the tire and it's not going to go flat. But if you drive faster than 55 miles per hour, then the nail's going to fly out and then your tire's going to sink. And so you bet. My point is, I usually can drive it to some sort of tire repair shop nearby when you have an issue. So, anything else here? I think that those things should help you get along if you find yourself in a pickle. Always, if you have to work with other people, suddenly, always be street smart. And so, speaking of being smart, some people, mechanics have kind of a neutral reputation, as there's so many different types of cars out there, types of trucks, and each one is built a little bit different. Unless someone actually has the profession and loves cars so much that they're willing to want to learn every nuanced design of each car, it's really hard to know where everything is and figure out what issues each type of car has and all that. So if you have if you find a mechanic that specializes in your type of car, then you've got a really good mechanic. And that's one you want to keep around. But let's go ahead and ask Gemini. What smart questions can I ask a mechanic to make sure I understand the repair and avoid getting overcharged?
That's an incredibly smart approach. Asking the right questions is the key to both understanding the necessary work and ensuring you are charged fairly. Here are the most effective questions to ask your mechanic, broken down by category. I. Questions to understand the repair. These questions ensure you know exactly what is wrong and why it needs to be fixed. Question. What it helps you understand. Can you explain the diagnosis in simple terms and show me the problem? Forces the mechanic to move beyond technical jargon and, ideally, show you the worn-out part or the source of the leak. Is this repair mandatory for safety or is it preventative/recommended? Helps you prioritize. Safety issues, brakes, steering, need immediate attention. Recommended work, fluid flush, minor leak, can sometimes wait. What caused this part to fail? Determines if the issue is standard wear and tear or if it was caused by another, underlying problem that also needs to be addressed. What are my repair options? E.g., replace the part or fix the component. Reveals if there are different ways to solve the problem, which could involve cheaper or more expensive parts/labor. What are the consequences if I choose not to do this repair right now? Helps you judge the urgency and the potential risk of delaying the work. 2. Questions to analyze the cost, the estimate. These questions help you deconstruct the bill and spot potential overcharges. Always ask for a written, itemized estimate. Question. What it helps you understand. Can I get a fully itemized breakdown of the labor and parts? This is the most important question. It splits the cost into parts cost plus labor cost plus shop fees/tax. This is essential for comparison. What is your shop's hourly labor rate, and how many hours are you charging for this job? Most shops use an industry standard, flat rate, for labor. If they charge far more than the standard time, you should question it. Are you using OEM, original equipment manufacturer parts, or aftermarket parts? OEM parts are made by your car's manufacturer, more expensive, higher quality. Aftermarket parts are made by third parties, cheaper. You should know which you are paying for. Does the estimated cost include any diagnostic fee, or is that separate? Clarifies if the initial fee for checking the problem is part of the total or added on top. What is the maximum amount this repair could cost? Do you need my written approval before exceeding this estimate? Protects you from surprise costs. A good mechanic will always call you before doing any work that adds to the original estimate. 3. Questions about the shop and warranty. These establish trust and protect your investment after the repair is done. Question. What it helps you understand. What warranty do you offer on both the parts and the labor for this repair? Reputable shops usually offer a warranty, e.g., 12 months/12,000 miles or 36 months, 36,000 miles. This guarantees their work. Can I see the old parts that were replaced? This confirms the work was actually performed and gives you a visual understanding of the failed part. A good mechanic should have no problem showing you this. Is your shop or are your technicians ASE certified? ASE, Automotive Service Excellence, certification indicates the technician has been independently tested and certified, suggesting a higher standard of competence. If I get a second opinion that conflicts with yours, how would you advise me? A trustworthy mechanic will encourage you to be informed and will not discourage a second opinion.
All right. So these are very good questions, and some of these things have happened to me, whether I was realizing I was trying to ask a proactive question or not. And so seeing the old part has been a bonus. A lot of times you can kind of see that it was broken and it did need to be replaced. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking at, but just the fact that they're willing to show me what they replaced is an extra bonus. You know that he obviously was wrestling with something and not just trying to collect money. As far as if they're original equipment, OEM parts, or original equipment manufactured parts, or aftermarket parts, I've been pretty neutral on that. A lot of people tend to prefer the aftermarket parts because they're usually actually easier to get, and the prices are more affordable. And sometimes, and many times, you could buy 2 or 3 parts of an aftermarket product than you could for an OEM product. And so, and especially if you could do the repair job yourself, if you're not sure if it's going to go that well and you have a little more time to burn, you can use the aftermarket product to you can just pay the aftermarket price, assuming you're saving money on both the amount of cost for the materials and that you're doing the labor yourself. And so that's why many times when you are doing the repair yourself, you're saving a whole lot more money, especially if you can get away with an aftermarket product. So unless you have a high performance vehicle, I really wouldn't worry about original equipment manufacturer parts. Of course, you talk to 100 people, you get 100 different opinions, and that's why there's 100 different kinds of cars out there. So, here's another question. How might I use YouTube to help me do my own automotive repairs?
Using YouTube for automotive repair is a fantastic resource that has empowered countless people to save money and gain confidence. You can use it as both a DIY instruction guide and as a powerful diagnostic tool when dealing with a mechanic. Here is a breakdown of how much you can rely on YouTube for your own repairs, categorized by complexity and risk. How to use YouTube for DIY car repair. The key to successful DIY is knowing your limitations and selecting the right projects. Repair category. Examples: YouTube suitability. Why? Simple maintenance, low risk, oil change, air filter replacement, cabin air filter replacement, replacing simple bulbs, checking and topping off fluids. High. These are standardized jobs that require basic tools and have minimal risk of damaging critical, expensive systems. The time savings alone can be substantial. 2. Moderate repairs, medium risk, brake pad and rotor replacement, battery replacement, spark plug replacement, starter or alternator replacement, installing a trailer hitch. Moderate. These require a moderate tool set. Jack stands are a must, and correct torque specifications. YouTube is excellent for demonstration, but you must strictly follow safety precautions and torque specs. 3. Complex repairs. High risk. Timing belt replacement, any internal engine work, transmission repair/flush, electrical/wiring diagnosis, complex suspension components, e.g., struts on some cars. Low. These are best left to professionals. A small mistake can lead to catastrophic, multi-thousand-dollar damage, e.g., improper timing belt installation can destroy an engine. These often require specialized, expensive tools or dealer-level computer programming. Major pros and cons of using YouTube. Pros: why it's great for DIY. Cons: the risks you must manage. Significant cost savings. You eliminate the most expensive part of the repair, the labor cost. For example, you can save hundreds of dollars on a simple brake job or alternator replacement. Safety hazards. Improperly jacking up a car, not using jack stands, working under a car without proper support, or handling high-voltage systems can lead to severe injury or death. Model-specific guidance. Unlike general repair manuals, you can often find a video of someone working on your exact year, make, and model, which provides invaluable visual context. Lack of quality control. Anyone can post a video. The instructions might be wrong, unsafe, or skip crucial steps like using a torque wrench. Diagnostic aid. Watching videos can help you correctly identify the noise or symptom, e.g., bad wheel bearing noise, which helps you diagnose the problem yourself or speak more intelligently with a mechanic. Risk of voiding warranty. Many new car warranties require scheduled maintenance and major repairs to be performed by a certified professional. DIY work may void these agreements. Tips for success on YouTube. 1. Find the right channel. Look for channels run by professional mechanics or those with a very high production standard who include detailed tool lists and torque specs. Good examples include Chris Fix, Eric the Car Guy, or specific channels dedicated to your vehicle brand. 2. Watch multiple videos. Never rely on a single video. Watch 2 to 3 videos on the same repair for your vehicle to compare techniques and spot any inconsistencies or shortcuts one person might be taking. 3. Invest in safety tools. First, before any repair, make sure you have reliable jack stands, wheel chocks, and proper eye protection. 4. Use a torque wrench. For anything structural, like wheels, brakes, or suspension, you must tighten bolts to the manufacturer's specified force, torque. A torque wrench is non-negotiable for safety-critical parts.
These were very good answers here. I really liked how they said, look at multiple videos to compare approaches to solving the same issue. And as it said, when you research what model, make, and year your car or vehicle is, and see what other people had, if they've been able to solve an issue, then you're able to usually get a pretty good answer. I know with my 99 Camry, I learned that there's several speed sensors on there on my car, but I couldn't figure out which one was the one that was giving me trouble. And when I first did some YouTube search, no one on YouTube, at least, seemed to know what the issue was. However, when I approached the issue again later, I found out that the reason why my RPMs, my sensors were off was because there was just one sensor that was mounted to the transmission that was giving wrong readings. And this guy recommended a $13 aftermarket part to replace that sensor, and ever since then it's worked fantastic, and I've never had my car having a hard time reading the speed my car is going. And so there was something that was a little bit more. I remember trying a different product in a more local store that seemed to cost it was like $160 for that same $13 part, and I tried putting that in, and it just wouldn't fit. No matter how much I wiggled it, it just wouldn't fit. So I returned the product, the $160 product, and went ahead and ordered online the $13 product, and the $13 product worked great. And so I guess I'm a believer in aftermarket parts, and just because the product costs more doesn't necessarily mean it's better. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, YouTube overall, I find, as this thing says, know your limitations. Like it said here, working on the engine's not where I'm at yet. I'm getting a little better, a little closer to working on engine things, but I'm not there yet. There's usually multiple pieces, multiple connections all being made to an engine, and unless you have all those connections back on your engine, you have a possibility of basically frying up your engine because it's not getting all the connections it needs to run smoothly. So that's where I don't really have a problem hiring a mechanic, because a mechanic will ultimately be cheaper and get it done right instead of me having a blown up engine and not having any car. So, but usually things that are more electrical, I'm more willing to replace. So like I mentioned, batteries, I have no problem replacing my own batteries. Fluids is a little more tricky, and some people say it's better to let the mechanic handle the fluids because you got to dispose the fluids properly, and usually there's a fee for that, especially in urban areas. Usually there's some sort of fee for that. And so if you get it done at a mechanic shop, well, they usually have a trusted resource to dispose waste, and probably at a more affordable price than what you would have to, than what a local, let's say, auto repair store, auto parts store would offer. So usually by the, even though I do a lot of my own maintenance, I still have the oil change done by a professional. And because again, they're looking at all kinds of things, and usually they do catch things that I'm not even aware of, such as how brake pads getting to be low, and other parts that seem to be getting really worn and ought to be replaced. And so, and sometimes I can try to look it up online, see if that's something I could do myself or if it's something they can do. What I do enjoy about at least attempting YouTube first is that before just going straight to a mechanic is that I tend to learn a little bit more about how my car works and how everything gets put together. So by making an effort to try to fix the car, I kind of know what's going on, and sometimes I learn if it's something I'm doing that's causing the car to wear out faster than it should, such as possibly taking a turn at 30 miles per hour instead of 15, knowing that the faster you go on tight turns, the more wear and tear you're putting on your tires, and so your tires aren't going to last very long, and perhaps even mess up the suspension or the alignment of the wheels because everything's being stressed much more than what the manufacturer intended it for. So there's that. And in those things, I've learned how to keep my cars going. One thing I've learned as I'm on my third car is that if you can let your car run just for like at least 10 seconds, I try to aim for 30, but 10 seconds before you put it in gear for the first time, especially if it's cold, you give your car a chance to make sure all the fluids are running and everything's going at a good speed, and so that your car is not, half a second later is being put into gear when all the fluids aren't flowing in all the places yet, as everything has settled in the car. And so that's helped prevent me from my engine getting blown up and again having to spend more money find a new car. So a little patience, whether just driving the car or maintaining the car, helps a whole long way. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that things that are more electrical focused, like one time a power window, the mechanics for the power window had gone out, and it was actually quite a bit of work to find all the screws and jiggle everything to take out all the plastic, all the vinyl off of the door to get to the motor that needed to be replaced for the power window. And it took a while, but I knew that whether I did it right or wrong, it probably wasn't going to be that big of an issue, because as long as the window went up and down and the power locks still worked afterwards, that the repair job would be just fine. If I had lost a screw or two or putting something in the wrong spot, I'd imagine those things would be pretty forgiving. I mean, obviously I wasn't going to take those wires and force them to be put in places that they weren't supposed to go. So usually with electronics, either you put it together and it should work, and if it doesn't work, well then the item probably needs to be replaced. So what do I have here next? I mentioned some budget-friendly hacks such as letting your car run for 30 seconds before you put it in gear and drive like Speed Racer. Let's see what other suggestions Gemini itself also has to say. What are some budget-friendly habits or hacks that help extend the life of your vehicle?
That's a smart approach. The best way to save money on car repairs is to avoid them in the first place. You don't need expensive tools or a garage full of equipment to significantly extend your vehicle's life. Here are some of the most budget-friendly habits and hacks that pay off in the long run. 1. The every 5 minutes checks. Cost $0, value priceless. These simple, free habits prevent minor issues from becoming catastrophic, multi-thousand-dollar repairs. Habit/hack. Why it extends life. Check your oil level, the lifeblood of your engine. Do this once a month. Low oil is the fastest way to cause engine failure. The dipstick check takes 1 minute. An engine replacement costs thousands. Check your tire pressure. Saves tires and fuel. Check them once a month, especially as seasons change. Correct pressure prevents uneven wear, making tires last longer, and reduces stress on the suspension. Look for the recommended pressure on the sticker inside your driver's side door jamb. Monitor all fluids. Protects major systems. Use the reservoirs under the hood to check coolant, windshield washer fluid, and brake fluid levels. Low coolant can lead to a blown head gasket. Low brake fluid can mean worn-out pads or a leak. Listen to your brakes. Saves rotors and money. If you hear a squeak, early warning, or a grinding, metal on metal, address it immediately. Changing pads when they first squeak is a cheap fix. Ignoring grinding often means needing new, expensive rotors as well. Don't ignore the check engine light. Prevents expensive follow-on damage. That light means something is wrong. An auto parts store can often read the code for free. A faulty oxygen sensor might cost $150 to fix, but can cause your catalytic converter, a $1,500 plus part, to fail if left unaddressed. 2. Low-cost DIY maintenance hacks. These tasks require minimal supplies, but have a huge impact on your engine's health and efficiency. Task. Estimated cost. Why it extends life. Replace your air filter. $10 to $25 for the filter. A dirty air filter starves your engine of clean air, forcing it to work harder and reducing fuel efficiency. It's usually a 5-minute no-tool job. Replace your cabin air filter. $15 to $35 for the filter. While it doesn't affect the car's mechanics, a clean filter improves air conditioning performance and keeps moisture/mold from building up in the vents, which is great for your health and the car's interior longevity. Wash off road salt/dirt. $5 at a self-serve wash, the best rust prevention. If you live in a region that uses road salt, wash the undercarriage regularly in the winter. Salt is the primary killer of a car's frame, suspension components, and brake lines. Wiper blade maintenance. $0. Wipe the rubber on your blades with rubbing alcohol or a mild soap every few weeks. This keeps them clean and flexible, making them last longer and improving visibility, a crucial safety hack. Clean your battery terminals. $5 for a wire brush and cleaner. A fuzzy blue or white residue, corrosion, on the battery terminals can disrupt the electrical system. Cleaning it ensures a consistent charge, making your battery and electrical components last longer. 3. The gentle driving habits. Your driving style is completely free to change and is one of the biggest factors in a vehicle's lifespan. Habit/hack. Why it extends life. Don't aggressively accelerate or brake. Saves your engine, transmission, and brakes. Hard acceleration and deceleration puts massive stress on the engine, transmission, and brake pads. Gentle driving significantly extends the life of all three systems. Coast to a stop. Saves your brakes. By lifting your foot off the gas and allowing the car to slow naturally, coasting, before applying the brakes, you minimize brake usage and wear. Warm up your car briefly. Protects the engine in cold weather. In modern cars, you only need to idle for 30 to 60 seconds before driving gently. Driving slowly allows the oil to circulate and warm up all the moving parts more efficiently than prolonged idling. Minimize idling time. Reduces unnecessary wear. Unlike older cars, prolonged idling in modern vehicles wastes fuel and causes unnecessary wear on the engine. If you're going to be stopped for more than a minute, like waiting for a passenger, turn the engine off. Avoid potholes and curbs. Saves your suspension and alignment. Hitting potholes or bumping a curb can instantly knock your wheels out of alignment or damage expensive components like the struts, shocks, and ball joints.
All right. I guess I should send this one to my town hall. I know. In these small towns here in the Northern Valley, we just can't seem to have enough potholes for one reason or another. I even asked some people who are used to working with the government, so why are the roads so bad here? But I'm sure even people would say, well, even that interstate system, the things that California is supposed to take care of, there's potholes everywhere. So if we're not noticed the recent years, it has been getting better, but still, I just I'm pretty sure one of my cars, the reason why it's partly out of line is because there was just one big fat pothole in the middle of the interstate. So if you can imagine hitting a pothole at 60 miles per hour, it's just not good on the car. And if there's traffic, if traffic's a little heavy, well then it's a little harder to see. Even though people probably shouldn't be driving so close, it's kind of hard to do in California. So, but yes, I'm more than willing to race around potholes so that my car does not get thrown out of suspension. Whether the people around me like me driving like that or not. So fix the roads. I don't know. I don't know why they can't figure out how to repair it, keep them up. But I'm not gonna let my car get messed up. And so if you notice here, this AI also caught that if you just let your car, this one suggested not 10 seconds, but more like 60 seconds of letting your car warmed up. It'll keep your engine, making sure it's running nice and smooth as it should. And driving slowly definitely helps. I definitely like the coasting one. If I know I'm coming to a red light, there's no reason why I need to be driving 50 miles per hour all the way up to that light until the last second. So just those few things. And so I found it interesting. They call it 5-minute. What was it? 5-minute. I lost it here. Too many questions. That 5-minute checkups. So just in 5 minutes, you can look at a list of these things and make sure your vehicle is in good shape. And so this is all pretty good. I think one other thing is a car wash is probably also good for your car, especially putting a wax on it twice a year. That seems to be an issue of keeping the paint coat on your car on. So especially if it's out in the sun, for me, I've learned if you can keep a good coat of wax, it takes a little bit of time to do it. Not the instant ones that come with the car washes. Talking about actual just wax formula that you wax on and wax off. That should last you 6 months, while the wash and wax stuff that you get in a bottle, that's a liquid, more so of a liquid, will probably only last a week or two. And so with all this, let's go ahead and see what 5 questions Gemini has for us. What are 5 multiple choice questions that would review the material we just talked about?
That was a great discussion on low-cost car longevity. Here are 5 multiple-choice questions to review the most critical maintenance habits and hacks we covered. You've already saved yourself money just by learning these simple habits. Take the quiz and see how much you remember. Good luck!
All right. What is the single most critical and easiest check a car owner should perform monthly to prevent catastrophic engine failure? Testing the battery, testing the power steering, checking the engine oil, washing the car's exterior paint and waxing it. I don't know if it was listening to me or what. But the answer is C. Yeah, if there's no engine oil in there, you're not going to have an engine to run on. The rest of if those things fail, then just specifically those parts will stop working. Probably the next one would be power steering fluid. You'll hear the whining. So I did like how you need to learn the sound of your car, so that if you're hearing a new sound coming out of your car, that means the part's probably going bad, or you don't have fluid in your car or something. So not necessarily doesn't mean you need to stop driving it, but probably have a mechanic check it out as soon as possible. Sounds are kind of hard to Google. You might be able to get it, but usually sounds are hard to figure out what's going on. Maybe you can come up with an app for that to save people oodles of money. So 2, which simple budget-friendly action has the dual benefit of preventing uneven tire wear and improving fuel efficiency. Checking and maintaining correct tire pressure, rotating tires every 1,000 miles, replacing the air filter every month, using park braking every time you use park. So that'd be A. Checking maintenance. Rotating the tires also helps, but it's not as crucial. And plus, you're usually going to need a tools or have a tire service do that for you. So the next one, what is the primary financial benefit of immediately addressing high-pitched squeaking noise from your brakes? It prevents the brake fluid from boiling and due to excessive heat. It ensures the ABS anti-lock braking system remains functional. It's a sign that the master cylinder is starting to fail. It prevents the need to replace much more expensive brake rotors. So that would be D. Yeah. Correct. And so usually the rotors cost about as much as the brakes. And so it's just you're going to be doubling your bill or the amount of materials, the cost of materials for getting your brakes replaced. But hopefully you have a good mechanic, or you're doing a good job at keeping an eye on your brakes where that doesn't happen. If you live in a region that uses road salt during the winter, what is the most important habit to protect your vehicle's frame and brake lines? That would be spraying the bottom of your engine. Well, I guess that'd be A. 5, which set of driving habits replaces the least amount of stress on your engine, transmission, and brake system? Driving only short trips. Actually, no, longer trips tend every now and then. 5 minutes, it's probably too long. Avoiding highways, only driving on city streets with stop and go traffic. That would definitely help. Oh no. No, it'd be the opposite. Highways, you get better gas mileage. Accelerating quickly to cruising speed and braking. So nope, we want to do the opposite of that. Accelerating gently and coasting to a stop by anticipating traffic. So yeah, D would be the answer. So sweet. Apparently, I know how to drive economically efficiently. So I can bring this to my wife. No, just kidding. So with that, moving on. This was the last class for the series lesson. I hope this was a fun experiment to see how not only do we have all kinds of internet options to help us keep our cars maintained, that we also have AI to help us get through things. I'm realizing one other note that probably has brought a whole lot of peace in my home is that you can buy check engine light Bluetooth readers. So it costs like $50. It's just a black box. I didn't bring mine with me, but a little black box, maybe 6 inches high and 3 inches wide, and you connect it to the plug for the check engine light readings, and those things will just read those codes for you. And the last time I checked, you can even hit a search online button to see what YouTube has available for getting those codes fixed. See if it is indeed something you can fix yourself, and you kind of go in. And if not, then you have an idea of what you're going into for a mechanic, and what type of repair you're looking at. And hopefully it is something more simple than what YouTube recommends. But just to let you know, I've been able to drive a little bit more securely, knowing that, if it's just the engine oil, not the engine oil, but the gasoline is just not burning quite right. It's not to California state codes, but it's burning overall just fine. That as I continue on my 500-mile trip, that my engine is going to be just fine and not going to blow up. So another little tidbit there. Thank you for joining me, and have a good day.